think we're good. Good evening, everyone, and I'd like to call to order and welcome you to our Lucan Biddulph Council meeting for Tuesday, April the 25th. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none, we do have one addition to the agenda, and that will be item 11.6, and that is the addition of the draft PRAC minutes from their last meeting. This past Saturday, we celebrated Earth Day, and members of council were joined the Embers and Guides, Cubs and Scouts, and volunteers from Jake's House for Pitch-In Day. And while the weather was less than cooperative, the morning did not disappoint. I think I can speak for my colleagues at how impressed we were with the enthusiasm of the kids and volunteers. The rain and cold did not deter them. We covered a lot of ground and picked up a fair amount of garbage that always seems to gather over the winter months. And while the back of the pickup truck was certainly full, we all commented that over the 12 past years, certainly since I've been involved with Pitch-In Day, the amount of litter that we collected has gone down. That being said, there is still work to be done. So please be mindful of how you dispose of your garbage. If we didn't get to your area in Lucan Biddulph, please take 10 minutes or so to clean up around your home, along your walking route, in front of your workplace, or if you see some litter or garbage along the way. We all have a role to play when it comes to our environment, so please do your part. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate all those involved in Lucan Minor Hockey and the Skating Club. Seasons were recently wrapped up, but I need to send out special congratulations to the under 18 B girls team who won gold at provincials. To be a provincial champion is something that should be celebrated and cherished. Not everyone is privileged enough to play on a team that sees that success. This team, though, has some pretty impressive stats to share. 56 wins, 6 losses, 4 ties, 33 shutouts. They were undefeated at home. They entered 5 tournaments and they won all 5 tournaments. They came home champions. They won International Silver Stick. They were OWHL League champions, OWHL Southern champions, and of course, OWHA Provincial Gold champions. To the girls, congratulations. In my time with Lucan Minor Hockey, I cannot think of a team that has seen that type of success. To the coaches, what a season you have managed. Hockey is a true team sport and it takes everyone, the coaches, volunteers, players, and parents to make it work. And the under 18 B team certainly did that. So congratulations to all of them. We do not have to go into closed session. We don't have a public meeting, but we do have a delegation. And at this time, I would like to welcome Dave Sharp and Renee Hornick from Aqua, who are going to present 2 reports to us this evening. It's great to have you here in person, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council, municipal staff. Thanks for having us out here tonight. It's quite an honor. So I'm going to do the 4th quarter report. Everybody's been supplied a copy of that and the overdue letter. Renee will do the annual report as soon as I'm done. So highlights of the grant in RBC. We had 2 non-compliances, unfortunately, in October, one in October and one in December. This was related to high sewage flows coming in, temperature fluctuations, and trying to keep up with those changes because the chemical additions that we put in at the plant are not flow based. So sometimes things get a little out of control there, and those 2 instances, that's what happened. Also, we found 1 pump that was malfunctioning too, so we've since fixed all those. And the plants are running very well. So the SPS, which is the pumping station, continues to have clogging issues with the cloth type rags. The flushable or non-flushable wipes continue to be a problem. We had 17 clogs in 2022. The Granton system also had some communication issues resulting in the replacement of a PLC and a UPS in December. So Highlights of the Granton water plant, there was no non-compliances. We did have some gravel coming through the force main into our bar rake, which caused us a number of issues. Blower number 2 is found leaking oil. It was sent out for a rebuild and subsequently has been put back into service. We did visit the Wilberforce Public School, Renee, myself, and 2 of our operators. We did our One Water program to 5 different classes of grade 7 and 8 students, emphasizing the importance of the wastewater system, how it works, their hygiene, water preservation, and highlighting various career opportunities. We're trying to recruit new people and water and wastewater treatment. It went very well. I was very impressed and it was, the questions varied and they're a lot smarter than you think they are sometimes. So some of the questions they asked us were quite interesting. So it's good like that. I'm hoping we can carry on with that, and Aqua does have a new program coming out probably this fall, and looking back to get into the classes and the new 7 and 8s and carry on. So as well as with other schools. So we installed and a couple rebuilt and new pieces of equipment, including a sanitary pump and a flow meter at the Lucan plant as well. So, and that's pretty well the highlights of the 4th quarter. So.
Okay, before I hand it over to Renee, were there any questions on the 4th quarter reports in front of you? I might just have one, and it is on the clogging at the Granton plant. And obviously this is a discussion we've had time and time again about the wipes and that sort of material that's being disposed of, and we've tried education. So it's really not, I'm really not talking about that, because I think we're trying to do as much as we can with that. But we don't see those sort of clogs in Lucan. Is it also the nature of the plant that makes it difficult? And I'm not saying we're okay to dispose of wipes or anything, but when the plant gets them, does it have a harder time than the Lucan plant?
So we tried a couple different ideas. We've been trying to figure out whether it's the way the sewage comes into this little pump station, whether it's the pumps. I did install a brand new pump. It plugged within 3 days. So it's not old worn out pumps. It's not dull impellers. It wasn't the location, because it's just a random thing. I think I look after 7 other pump stations and I haven't had a clog in any of them. For some reason, it just seems to be this one. So I'm not sure.
Okay, thanks. Councillor Regan.
If I may, Madam Mayor, thank you. So I actually am glad to see that we're going into schools, and you did mention we're going back into schools with different programs. I'm just wondering if there any talk about going into any of the other area schools, particularly maybe into Medway, into environmental science classes, geography classes, because those are the people that you would want to sort of get the message out to. So I didn't know if that was something you had planned as well, just an older age group.
Yes, definitely. We're open to any communications with any classes, any groups, anything. We look forward to spreading the news and making sure it gets out there. Yes, it's very important. So yeah, we'd be happy to have any clubs that are interested in talks as well. We could do something at the library, maybe. I'm not sure. Something to consider.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Renee.
Any other questions on the 4th quarter? All right, you want to take
Thank
a
you.
step at the annual report?
Okay, this is short and sweet. So this is just to give an overview of the annual performance reports, which is an annual requirement. We prepare these on behalf of the Township of Lucan Biddulph, and we're in compliance with the environmental compliance approvals for each of the facilities. So these reports detail things like the influent and effluent monitoring, sampling, operational issues and corrective actions, maintenance activities and calibrations, effluent quality assurance, effluent objectives, sludge management, complaints, situations out of normal operating conditions, modifications to the systems, and conformance with procedure 5 or F51. So these reports are due annually to the ministry by March 31st of each year, and we have provided these electronically to the ministry as well as to Jeff, and that was done on March 14th. So everything is in compliance with the requirements of the ECA. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Renee. Any questions on the annual report in front of you? Okay, seeing none, that was easy. Thank you very much. Again,
you.
thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you in person, and have a great rest of the evening. Okay. With that, I would ask for a motion to accept both those reports for information. Councillor Westman and Councillor Hodgins. All in favor? And that's carried. Thanks very much. Good night. Moving on to our minutes. We have two sets of minutes in front of us, those from March 30th and those from April 4th. And if there wasn't anything to be amended or added, I would ask for a mover and a seconder to approve those minutes as circulated. Councillor Regan and a seconder, Councillor Hodgins. All in favor? And that's carried. Business arising from the minutes. Nothing has been added. I think everything's ongoing. Was there anything that council wanted to speak to on business arising, or anything that they wanted added to business arising from the previous set of minutes? Okay. Then we will move on to our correspondence. And as always, there's a number of items that have been received. One item that has been pulled by staff has been the invitation to the Middlesex County Golf Tournament. And this year it is on Thursday, June 22nd. It is at the Fox. And if I put my warden hat on, I'm pleased to say that the money raised from this tournament will be split between the minor sports organizations in Lucan Biddulph. So it'll be Lucan Minor Hockey, the Skating Club, Lucan Soccer Club, and the Lucan Ilderton Athletics, which is baseball. So keep that date in mind, and I look forward to your participation. There were a number of items also, and I don't know if council had any discussion on any of them. When Ron and Tina and I were going over the agenda this afternoon, we did pull one that we thought maybe warranted some discussion and perhaps support, and that is the resolution that was passed in South Huron, and it had to do with the support of cameras on buses. Interestingly enough, last week at Good Roads, there was a presentation done by an organization that advocates for cameras on buses. And the table I was sitting at, there, of course, videos, and they were very powerful videos. We all said it did seem like this was almost a no-brainer to support this sort of action. So I would suggest that maybe we pass a motion to endorse this, and then Tina can forward that off, unless there was anybody that had anything to say the opposite. So, okay, so if I could get a mover and a seconder to endorse South Huron's motion, that would be great. Councillor Regan and Councillor Westman, all in favor? And that's carried. And then were there any other items that that council wanted to speak to that were received? Okay, on to committee reports. Blue Water. Oh, sorry, before you go. So before you start, I need a mover and a seconder to receive those items of correspondence for information. I'm sorry. Councillor Regan and Deputy Mayor Manders. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. All right, Blue Water.
Yes, there is some information there in today's agenda. I guess just a couple of things. Francis is still negotiating with the producer responsibility organization. Our big thing is it's not an issue, obviously, using our trucks for collection, but it's making sure the stuff comes back to our receiving facility. And that's what is kind of where Francis is at right now, and making sure we use that facility for sorting. Got some other highlights there. The renewable natural gas truck, otherwise known as the poo truck, is doing well, and probably in the future when we order more trucks, it will be an RNG truck, and then that'll help meet our natural gas reduction 2035, I think it says in there, by switching the trucks over to that. And so far they've been very satisfied with that truck. So it looks like that will be the slow transition over the years to come. They'll probably do natural gas and RNG and rotate them over the next years to come. Commodity prices are going up a little bit, but not a lot. And basic organic collections with everybody within our area is going to be waiting until the producers take over the responsibility, so that our residents aren't being charged for the recycling. And then I think you'll see a transition of organics pickups that'll cost probably a similar price as the recycling did. So, yeah.
Any questions for Dave on that? Okay, thank you. CEDC.
I have nothing to report this evening, Madam Mayor. Our next meeting is Wednesday, May 31st.
Thank you. Nothing to report on Lake Huron. Nothing to report on fire boards, just that we're trying to come up with the date for meetings. ABCA.
Yes, excuse me. We held the Board of Directors meeting on April 13th. Received an update on some investments. And there is a new resource-based watershed management strategy being put together in-house by ABCA. It's a broad plan that guides the management and operations of the ABCA. And it's a provincial requirement to have this plan, and it's they were going to be working on this. There may be some consultation with municipalities, and it'll be done in 2023. Last week, ABCA held their 33rd conservation dinner, which was a very successful event, and I saw that they raised more than $50,000 at that event. So that's about it for the update.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Jaden. Any questions on that? Okay. Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's a set of draft minutes available for you to take a look at. Just some highlights, if I may. There was a very lively discussion, a good discussion on the two RFPs for the canteen and fitness space that Parks and Rec manager will speak to later this evening. There was an update on Spencer Park with respect to the multi-purpose court and playground equipment that will be installed there, I believe, this year. There was an update on summer camps, very successful for summer camps. I think over 90 families have been serviced so far. And there was a bit of an update given by the Parks and Rec manager on the Trails Committee, and back to our committee to take a look at some of the possibilities and just sort of looking forward for the next 15 or 20 years or so. And there was a couple of comments made during the meeting. I just wanted to state congratulating staff and council actually for being progressive and forward thinking with our Parks and Rec projects. That came from a member of our committee. Thank you. And that's, oh, sorry. And our next meeting is June 22nd at 6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? Okay, and anything from Trails on this at this meeting? No. Okay, on to staff reports. Ron.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a verbal update on a few activities that we're working on. The YMCA lease, hard to believe, but the lease is up for renewal already. So we're into the second 5-year term. We had an initial meeting with YMCA staff, and they are very happy. They speak quite highly of Paul and his staff. So they're very willing to proceed forward. We've got lots of time. The lease doesn't run out till the end of the year, but we want to get ahead of this anyway. So we are working on the renewal document. Once the draft is ready, it'll go to the YMCA. It'll have to be vetted by them, and then it'll come back to council for formal approval. Item 2, we've got a meeting set up for this Friday, I believe at between 10 and 11 with the Thames Valley District School Board. What we're talking about there is the accommodation review. There's been numerous comments to various members of council. So just trying to get some more information. What exactly are we talking about? What the goals are? How does it impact Luke and Biddulph? So that's this Friday. We finally have, the next one is next Tuesday is just a reminder, the Middlesex Municipal Day is to be held in North Middlesex. Next Thursday, we finally have a CAO meeting. We've been trying for a few months. Obviously, there's a few CAOs missing around the county table at the moment. I think there's three municipalities without a current CAO. So that's next Thursday. Next Friday, just another reminder for those that sign up for the Lake Huron Water Supply System. The tour is to be held next Friday. And finally, Tuesday, May the 9th, 2 weeks from today, is the local council day to be held at the County of Middlesex. So just another reminder. So that's right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions for Ron? Okay, Tina, anything? No. Okay, building, no finance, planning, Dan.
Through the chair, thanks, Madam Mayor and members of council. So I'm just here tonight to provide more of just an information report for council, as well as the general public of potential proposed changes to our existing provincial policy statement, as well as the growth plan, and also potential changes to the Planning Act through Bill 97. So the province has opened a comment period on the Environmental Registry of Ontario website, where they have included draft policy documents for changes to the provincial policy statement and growth plan. They have basically proposed to amalgamate these two documents into one, which is now referred to as the provincial planning statement. So the comment period did open on April 6th and is open until June 5th. The County of Middlesex is collectively, the planning department, collectively putting together a document to provide comments to the ERO posting, which we certainly will bring back at a later date once those are finalized as to what our finalized comments are to the province. But just as a general overview, there are 5 categories or policy pillars that they focus on in this revised provincial planning statement, and that is to generate an appropriate housing supply, make land available for development, provide infrastructure to support development, balance housing with resources, and an implementation plan that they refer to. So just as a quick broad overview, what does the document contain? Some of the things that we have noticed off the hop are changes to our growth management procedures that we have in place currently in the provincial policy statement. Right now, our document provides for a maximum growth horizon of 25 years. That's what we plan for in terms of population. This has been changed or proposed to be changed to a minimum growth target of 25 years. So that means you have to identify a minimum of 25 years of growth within your existing settlement areas. That's a pretty huge change. Likewise, they have or are proposing to allow for residential developments within agricultural areas, albeit limited to certain criteria that they have listed. And then they've also introduced the opportunity for privately initiated settlement growth expansions by landowners. So as you're aware, we just went through that municipal comprehensive review of the official plan. That would no longer, it would appear that that would no longer be required through future iterations of the planning policy. That could be done essentially by individual landowners. So there are a number of the changes that are available. I would encourage everyone to read through the different postings that they have. I have included links also to the ULSR analysis on the summaries and findings of the different provincial planning statement changes, as well as changes to the Planning Act through Bill 97. So the information, or sorry, there's lots of information here for everyone. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have, but yeah, keep in mind, we're all kind of digesting this at this point, and a future report will come back. It'll go to county council first, then come back to local council as to what our recommendations are, at least to the province in terms of the commentary. So thanks, and if you have any questions, I'm here.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Dan. Any questions or comments? Councillor Regan.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. When I'm just reading through this and I'm just reading like the part where it says housing, permit more housing on farms and residential lot creation within agricultural areas. And I'm just wondering, do you know the purpose of that when we're trying to infill and those sorts of things? I'm just wondering what the logic is behind that.
So through the chair to Councillor Reagan, I'm certainly, I can't speculate in terms of what their purpose would be. I can just tell you that based on what they've proposed, it would appear that they are considering allowing up to 3 lot severances from existing agricultural parcels in our agricultural areas. And they are also permitting as of right that existing farm parcels can add up to 2 additional residential units on the existing parcel. And those could be subject to surplus dwelling severances sometime in the future. So that's basically what they've shown to us at this point in time. We're not exactly sure how that aligns with the other provincial policy in terms of, protecting agricultural lands for crop production and those types of things, but we will see.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Manders.
Just, do you think, I think you're waiting for the province to approve the county's official plan, correct?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so do you see this change in directional or delaying things any more or anything, or this has nothing to do with what's in place?
So through the chair, what I would say is actually as recently as the day that this was posted on the ERO website, we did see a number of different municipalities have their local comp reviews approved by the province. So as far as we're aware, they are still actively moving through approvals of those existing submitted official plans. We would anticipate that it would be no different for the County Middlesex official plan, and then subsequently the county would obviously review all the local official plans. Any changes that would occur would be something that we'd have to go back and do after the fact.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you don't see this playing. Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions for Dan? Councillor Hodgins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Dan, you mentioned that the change to the minimum growth horizon of 25 years, it's a pretty huge change. What do we currently assess in our growth horizon? And I guess, how does that impact us, that change?
Yeah, so through the chair to Councillor Hodgins, the existing provincial policy says you have to have three-year land supply available for development. You have to have at least 15 years planned, and then you can plan up to a maximum of 25 years for growth expansion. The proposed changes to the provincial planning statement basically say that the minimum requirement is 25 years.
Follow up. Thank you. So I guess the impact is we have to do more studies, or I'm just trying to understand what the impact to that is for us. Do we have to expand our settlement boundaries more, or?
Yeah, so through the chair, we're still trying to kind of unpack what that potential impact would be to both the county as well as local municipalities. But what I would say is effectively it would appear, based on what they're indicating at this point in time, is that the province is not putting a limit as to how much you can expand a settlement area.
Okay, and my other question is, can we as counselors comment through the ERO individually? I know that the county is planning a more formal response, but are we able to comment individually as well?
So through you, Madam Mayor. I would say as an individual, yes, you would be allowed to do that. Just a word of caution, though. I mean, I think we may want to have an internal discussion here. Because I don't think it would be good for Lucan Biddulph as a whole for one person to go off on a tangent and say something that would sort of contradict what collectively council would want.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you for that, Dan. Certainly lots to unpack. And I know that the county's working hard at working through it, and we'll look forward to the report coming from them. With that, I would ask for a mover and a seconder that we receive Dan's report for information. Deputy Mayor Manders and Councillor Hodgins. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Do you have anything else, Dan? That was it? Okay. Jeff, Public Works.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. I do have one report and a bit of a verbal update after the report. So my first report is on the Lucan wastewater treatment plant expansion. BM Ross has sent me a memo. They have been putting together a list of the requirements of the major systems at the plant, and they've identified one of the components that would be beneficial to sole source. And as in our procurement policy, council needs to approve any sole sources or any sole source procurements over $20,000. The system that BM Ross has identified is the UV system, and we currently are being supplied by Trojan Technologies. Trojan is a local company. We are using it in our plant right now. They are very reliable. Their replacement parts are very easy to get. They do have one of the more they are one of the more premium suppliers of this technology in the world. And one of the main concerns about obtaining a competitive price is that BM Ross has been involved with other projects that have gone to tender on this technology. So they do have background in what this cost should be. In discussion with Aqua, the operating authority that runs our plant, they have also indicated they agree with BM Ross's assessment of Trojan Technologies and the benefits of the UV system staying the same. With the review of BM Ross's memo, I also support using Trojan Technology to continue to use Trojan Technology at the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, thank you for that, Jeff. Any questions or comments on Jeff's report? Might just have, no, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I believe it's stated in there, Jeff, that they could, they had some previous purchases from municipalities that they could show you that either went to tender or not, or at least that pricing they're giving you. So I guess my request is that I hope that you'll allow us to see that. So. Or maybe they've provided it already, or it's a case of they will provide it. If it's a case of they will provide it, I hope you'll ask for it.
Yeah, and through the mayor, I think they haven't provided it yet. They want to go through, they want to make sure that they can get this, and that would be a very reasonable expectation to ask for that information upon moving forward.
Any other questions? Jeff, I just have a comment. So this is for the expansion. So my question is, we haven't essentially approved it yet. We're going down that road, but council still has a decision to make. So is this just for essentially on spec? Like, we're not buying it at this moment. We're just essentially putting it on hold?
Yeah, so this is not for buying it as of yet. This is just trying to get organized on how they're going to move forward with the tendering process, because they'll have to start speccing out. The idea is to have the tender ready for the fall. And so they've got to come up with the game plan. And so this just kind of organizes everything.
Okay, I appreciate that clarification. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, then we do have a motion in front of us that we receive Jeff's report and that council directs staff to move forward with the Trojan Technologies as the supplier of the UV system required in the expansion of the Lucan wastewater treatment plant. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Hodgins and Councillor Westman. All in favor? And that's carried. And you said you had a verbal, Jeff?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a bit of an update on, a few things. First of all, maintenance gravel is going on. So that's is taking place. We've had a good spring for the gravel roads and the frost coming out. So it's nice to see that the gravel started this week. Should be finished by Friday. We're going to move into dust control on the fresh gravel as soon as we can. We're at the arranging for that as we speak. The streets in town have been swept. That was completed last week, I believe, early last week. We're beginning sod repairs from our snowplow. We're just in the process of getting some topsoil. You have to wait to the topsoil suppliers. We can get it, and obviously the ground's got to warm up before the repairs can start to grow. Westdale has started the servicing for their project, which means that between Chestnut and the north part of town, for the next probably anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks, there's going to be some construction activities on that part of town, so that people can expect maybe some slowdowns in that area. And that servicing includes a brand new water main from Chestnut all the way out, as well as a force main that will allow the sanitary to come into town. The grader motor has been removed and has been shipped off to the rebuild. So that's project is going along and it has started. I will keep council updated on that because it is a very important tool that we need to keep an eye on, and fingers crossed everything works out as we plan there. The new backhoe that we ordered last year has arrived. It's now in operations at the shop. Everything has been delivered as it should have been. Met the tender, met the price. Everything is in place on the new backhoe. And finally, the yard waste, both at the Sainsbury and in Granton are now open. I can say that they're being used quite a bit. We're almost looking for a second bin to come in for a short period of time in the Sainsbury at the Lucan area. So people are going full tilt on their yard waste. And actually, that's the last. So.
Okay, thank you for that update, Jeff. Appreciate it. Any questions or comments for Jeff? Jeff, I just wondered, this was our first season with the Salt Dome, and I guess I want to know how it worked out. And I know that there is some leftover product, and that obviously doesn't go to waste. We can keep it, but how did the management of the Salt Dome work this year?
So, Madam Mayor, the salt shed's probably, roughly half full. And the one thing that we've always done with sand and salt, it is a commodity. It is we do keep it as an inventory. So we will, as Treasury moves around from year end, we will keep an eye on that inventory as we go. We will fill it back up to 100% come this fall. It worked actually really well. I would like to, I think I'm going to go back and look at how many times we were out and how much material we used. I think Ron and I were talking a little bit about, because it was a bit deceiving. We had a real quiet start, and then we had a real hard right before Christmas, and then it was quiet again. And then the end of the winter, though, seemed to pick up through February and March. So I think it's a little bit deceiving. So I will have some numbers that I can give a verbal update on how many times we were out and how much we used. So, but the salt shed actually worked really good. The guys, we were able to reload our sidewalk machine directly from instead of We used to, Scott's elevators used to supply us a spot, so that way we're not relying on Scott's this time. And not that that was a problem, but it's just nice to be able to do stuff in-house. So it worked out really well.
Good. Thank you for that update. With that, Paul, oh, did you have a question, Councillor Hodgins? Sorry.
Sorry, just thought about it. Thanks, Madam Mayor. Jeff, with respect to the sod repairs, is that something that Public Works staff patrols and knows the areas that need to be repaired? Or is it on a complaint basis, or do people have to request these repairs, or is it a combination of both? How does that process work?
Yeah, and through the mayor, it's a good question. So it is obviously requests or for sod damage they do come in. And I think a lot of people know that just to call in and add your name to the list. So there's no doubt that's part of it. But also too, their staff will go around and make notes of where because they have to go around and pick up the some of the markers and that sort of thing. So they'll make a note of some of the more interesting spots maybe that we got off track a little bit. And so they will do a combination of both. And I will maybe just make sure that everybody's aware. We don't bring back sod. It is township property that we are fixing. We use topsoil and grass seed. And that's just, that works the best and most cost effective for fixing our property. And we go from there. If we happen to get off and we've created some ruts, we will bring in some extra dirt and make sure everything's leveled up. But generally what we try to do is get the grass growing back again. And yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. Paul, Parks and Rec.
Thank you through Madam Mayor. The first report in front of council tonight is meant to be an information report, just to highlight some of the components of the ABCA Habitat Stewardship projects that we've been participating in on utilizing park and recreation, municipal owned passive parkland and green space. We're now entering into the third and final year of this project with hopes to continue on in future projects with the ABCA, as they have been a great experience for the community and they beautify some of our green spaces and enhance their purpose. So the ABCA entered this partnership to implement stormwater management enhancements and low impact developments and educate urban and rural landowners and youth about species at risk, fish specifically, as well as educate about land water linkages and the role in protecting the black red horse that they facilitating these improvements. It's been a multifaceted approach to this ecosystem recovery project with multiple habitat improvement actions, including wetland municipal stormwater management restoration to reduce sediment and nutrients. So we just wanted to highlight the first few years, what we've completed. In year one, we did some habitat restoration on wetlands and a private landowner that was not with us, but that is one thing that they did. We also we planted 3,500 trees and seedlings, and that's the property off of Saintsbury Road, kind of in behind the water sewer treatment plant. We also did 2 plantings at the Campanelli Stormwater Pond totaling 600 plants, and we were able to have assistance from 30 student volunteers, 15 Beaver Scouts, as well as Councillor Dana Regan was there, as well as 3 municipal staff. In year 2 of the project, we did several projects, including more at the Campanelli Stormwater Pond, totaling 300 plants planted on the first planting of a rain garden on the southern edge of the pond with 50 students, 4 teachers and parent helpers, 2 ABC staff and 1 municipal staff. As well as we had Sherry Schofield from Colton Homes was present as they were inquiring about possibly adding to the plantings. In October, we planted 157 plants with the school doing a planting of a barrier strip and a pollinator patch. We had 50 students, 4 teachers, parent helpers, 1 municipal staff, 2 ABCA staff, Colton Homes and the Radcliffe Estate team and Perry Homes, they had done a funding contribution to the pollinator patch. And this is located at the top of the Campanelli Storm Pond where the stones are. So they're going to keep investing in that pollinator patch for the future and further education opportunities. We also planted 279 plants were planted by volunteers on the southern edge. And there was 3 volunteers from Big Brothers and Sisters and high school students were there as well as 2 ABCA staff were present for that one. No municipal staff was involved in that location. The other major project besides the Campanelli Stormwater Pond was the Sauble Fields lid in partnership with the Sauble Fields Development. This is the lids, the low impact development behind the community center. I'm proud to say we planted in that one day on September, we planted 607 plants, trees, shrubs, and dry and wetland plants were planted. And we had 30 members of the public. So there was local residents, some retirees, some high school and elementary students and families. We had scouts as well as 3 ABC staff, 1 municipal staff and representatives from the Sauble Fields, specifically Matt and Josh Van Giel and their family. Along with that, we went back in October. ABCA spread some more native seed and some pollinator plant seed in the dry cell and wet cell. And we're quite looking forward to seeing that develop. It's a beautiful location. Now, once the plants come up, we've added the Sauble Fields has added in a trail system throughout that. So it's going to be a beautiful location and great opportunity for education. As well, education flyers were sent out including about stormwater impacts and the solutions. They were posted online through our municipal social media sites. As well, they were distributed to the homes backing onto the Campanelli Waste Storm Pond, just to kind of inform them what we've been doing back there and why. As well, we've started developing plans for this year. We'll be doing more infilling of the Campanelli Way barrier strip and pollinator patch. And if you notice too, from an operation standpoint, there's a benefit to us beyond of what it's doing to that area and beautifying it. But there's a lot of bad erosion and runoff down the sides of the Campanelli Storm Pond there, which do make it difficult for maintenance. And you know, it's not ideal because then that more sediment gets down into the stormwater pond. We're planning some more community plannings as well as with the public donors on Campanelli Way for that pollinator strip, as well as there may be a soakaway project implemented on the edge of an urban landover property. Once again, this isn't part of what we're doing, but this is just part of this habitat stewardship with ABCA, but it's members of our community are kind of getting educated and participating, which is great. It's been a great opportunity for the community through the school. It's almost become tradition for the grade 7-8 class, you know, especially the Earth Avengers that are in the greatest show on earth this week at the play. You know, they've really taken it on and taken pride in their community, which I think is fantastic. So we're planning on implementing signage along the Campanelli Storm Pond as well as the lid project, just to implement to keep the community aware of what we're doing and why, and it just make them more proud of the community as they go through.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Paul. I think we all agree about the benefits, and it'll be, I think it'll be exciting to watch it the years as it all kind of comes together and grows in. Any questions or comments on that report? Councillor Hodgins?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, lots of great news in this. Great work, Paul, and everybody involved. Great to see the partnership with the ABCA as well for this. So with the program wrapping up end of March 2024, I guess, is there any discussions or opportunities to keep this going? Like, it sounds like it is sort of becoming a tradition, and it's great for the community to get involved. So I'm just wondering if that has been discussed with ABCA, if there's other potential future opportunities, and where this will go after that date.
Yes, there's always more opportunities, and just like the municipality, you know, the key factor to consider is funding. So as we sit down with the ABCA, we look at what kind of projects we'd like to do, like to keep these moving on, especially with the partnership with the schools. So we'll sit down, identify the potential areas that could be utilized by that's municipal land for these projects, that's suitable locations for it, and then how we can work with the ABCA to make them happen. And then they go out and will apply for funding on our behalf. Well, as we support them for the funding to keep these projects going. And there's definitely lots in the works. I know we're talking about possibly rain gardens near the lid project to help with some drainage issues of the soccer fields. So there's benefit to our sports field by implementing that project. So, you know, kind of seeing how we can benefit as well as contribute, and just smartly look at the whole process.
Okay, thank you. That's great to hear. And, you know, I think these stewardship projects, these are the category 3 projects that ABCA is looking to set up those agreements for. So I think, yeah, there's certainly a really good return on investment we get with those services with ABCA. Our levy for those services are quite minor, and to see how much benefit we're getting in the community and for our local watershed, it's great to see. So thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Councillor Hodgins, any other questions or comments on this report? Then I would ask for a mover and a seconder to receive the stewardship project update for information. Councillor Regan and Councillor Hodgins. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, next one, Paul.
Thank you to you, Madam Mayor. The second report in front of council is regarding the outcome of the review of the proposals for the operation of a canteen space within the Lucan Biddulph Community Memorial Center. We did receive 2 proposals from local businesses to occupy the canteen, and the review group had lengthy discussions while weighing the proposals. In the end, TIPAD was selected as the was selected as the recommendation, highlighting the meal variety and menu variety and the alignment of healthy options with the community center, as well as their proposed creative growth potential within the center. This was presented to PRAC, which received great enthusiasm to the potential, as well as to support a local food provider with long standing in the community.
Okay, thank you for that, Paul. Questions or comments on this recommendation and report? Councillor Hodgins.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just wondering timelines, next steps, and I guess when we would expect to see this canteen vendor in place.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Next steps is the key factor. We will be approaching the successful proponent, develop an agreement that we will then bring forward to council for approval. And I know the idea when we put out the RFP, we said the intention is to have them in place for September for hockey season. Ideally, and I think for them as well, you know, if they can be ready before then, that would be great, especially with the pool opening and all the summer activities. But obviously we don't want to be premature on that, but that will be the next steps.
Great, thanks, Paul.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, then the motion in front of us is that we receive the report and that the Council of Lucan Biddulph support the RFP review group and PRAC recommendations to accept the RFP submitted from TIPAD and direct staff to develop an agreement for council approval. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Westman and Councillor Regan. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And the next report, Paul.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. The last report in front of council tonight is regarding the results of the RFP for operation of a fitness space within the Lucan Biddulph Community Memorial Center. We did have 2 submissions for this as well. The YMCA and from Tommy Cadwell, who is a local fitness entrepreneur. The review group did discuss at length the pros and cons of each business model and their provided services. And after much deliberation, the group decided that Tommy Cadwell was to be proposed as the better suited for the community. And when presented to PRAC, this decision was heavily supported. PRAC did note that Tommy is a local with ties to the community and that they were familiar with his previous fitness establishments. as well as staff noticed made note of the potential upon the flexibility to assist with gaps in programming on a positive note to consider as well.
Okay, thank you for that report, Paul. Questions or comments on this one? Councillor Regan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is for Paul. I'm just want to make sure that when we're working out the agreements for these, for both the TIPAD and for the fitness space, that we're making sure that we're incorporating those healthy choices for people, especially with, for example, the TIPAD, because we want it reflective of what a community center is supposed to be. The second thing I'm really concerned about, not concerned, but just wanted to mention was when the fitness space, making sure that we have the programs that meet the needs of the community. I think that's important. We have such a variety of different, I guess, athletic abilities in our community. We have seniors, we have younger people. Affordability for people is something else that I'm concerned about making sure that it's something that people are going to be able to afford. And the other thing that I think is important too is the time of operation. I mean, if it's, a 9 to 2 thing, it's not working. So that's something too. And you've probably already there. I think 3 steps ahead of me, but that's something that I'm concerned about too, is making sure that so if we're going to do this, it's got to be available as much as possible. It's got to be affordable and the programs have to be there. And the other thing too, I think that was discussed as PrAC too, is we got to make sure that there's any gaps. I mean, specialized programming, that's something that we can offer as many possible fitness so genres as we can think of, just to meeting the needs of the people. So again, that's up to Parks and Rec to figure out, but that's just something that I thought I would mention. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Hodgins.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and thanks my colleague Councillor Regan for those comments. I'll certainly echo some of those comments. Almost verbatim for what he said there. Certainly, I was thinking about the affordability of the program as well, and what it will be and what it will look like. But very excited to see this coming forward. One question would be the initial capital expense. Do we have some idea, ballpark, what that capital expense will be to outfit the space for a fitness facility?
Yes, thank you to you, Madam Mayor. So the initial equipment investment is for this particular proposal was between 50 and 70,000, as well as some administrative needs. If there's some systems we need to set up, about 3,000 to 5,000, and then just some miscellaneous costs for kind of setting up signage or whatnot in the facility, and then about 15 to $20 a square foot, possibly if we need extra matting or so forth like that. One of the best approach for this, that this does fit within the cost availability to some grant opportunities that are coming out in the near future. And I will be looking into these opportunities, because if we can offset that cost, then this will be a very good opportunity for the township.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, then the motion in front of us is that we receive the report and that the Council of Lucan-Vidolph support the RFP review group and PrAC recommendations to accept the RFP submitted by Tommy Caldwell and direct staff to develop an agreement for council approval. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Regan and Deputy Mayor Manders, all in favor? And that's carried. Did you have anything verbal, Paul?
No, I'm not at the moment. Thank you.
Okay,
Madam Mayor.
any questions or comments for Paul? Okay, anything for economic development? No. Councillor comments? Councillor Regan.
Just something really quick, just so last Saturday, April 22nd, I just wanted to make a comment that I was just rather proud to be part of a council where every single council member was out in the rain with some members of our community picking up garbage. I think this says a lot. So I just wanted to say that I was quite proud to be part of that group on Saturday. So thanks, folks.
Okay, Councillor Westman.
Well, I'd like to echo my worthy colleagues' comments about it. It was a very cold, rainy day. but everybody's spirits were really good and high, and we had a great turnout for parents, volunteers, and members of council, and it's Jake's House, is it called? They were wonderful. Those guys were just the best, and so we also did electronics waste collection in the community. Did not disappoint. They came out in droves and brought their electronic, their old TVs and laptops and microwaves and what have you. And we're about 3/4 full. The bin was about 3/4 full when we were done. A lot more compact than we're used to. Like normally we get a lot of big cabinet TVs. This year we got a lot of the big screen flat TVs and what have you. So and a lot of batteries. I think we got probably 5 times as many batteries as we normally get. There was several large bins that we had filled up with the small, like flashlight AA's and D batteries, plus gel cells and things like that. So those are all items that will bring some revenue and help us with our maintenance of the hall and our programs and what have you for guiding and for scouting. I also wanted to mention that this Thursday at the First Lucan Scout Guide Hall, we will be having a spaghetti supper fundraiser for the Scouts and Guides. So it begins at 5 p.m. and goes to 7 p.m. So bring your appetite and come on down and enjoy some spaghetti and other foods with us, and we'd love to serve you. So there you go. And once again, I did want to thank everybody for participating on Saturday. It was amazing. It made me feel great to have everybody out there. It was a very special day. And when the sun finally did come out and we all dried out, it was pretty good. So thanks.
Great. Thank you for those comments. Any other councillor comments? Okay, Ron didn't make mention in his report about Middlesex Day on May 2nd. And if you haven't signed up, I know that some of us do have work commitments, but if you can make it, North Middlesex has worked hard to put together a program for everyone. So if you can make it, there is still time. I'm sure that they would let you come. And then County Day on May 9th. I think this is a new approach that staff suggested, rather than having the warden and CAO come out and make in-person visits. I think we'll be doing that in the fall, but this is a way that you can meet a number of the senior staff and get a better understanding of the county services and how they work and flow down to the local level. So if you can make Middlesex Day on the 2nd and County Day on the 9th, we will feed you on the 9th. And the other thing we're doing is actually 15 years of SERVE, which is our community emergency response volunteers. We'll be recognizing them at council. And for me, I'm really honored that I'll be the warden that'll be able to recognize them because certainly they stepped up during the pandemic and volunteered in our community. So it will be a great way to recognize them. So I'm hoping that staff and council from Lucan Biddulph can attend one, if not both of those days. With that, we'll move on. There are no changes to budget. Any notices of motion? So we do have a motion for the accounts paid, and the motion is that the Council of the Township of Lucan Biddulph receive the attached accounts as paid for information as follows, and that's for March 2022 or 2023. A little bit of a typo there. $2,624,402.74. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Regan and Councillor Hodgins, all in favor? And that's carried. And we only have one bylaw in front of us tonight, and that's bylaw 21-2023. And that is the confirming bylaw, so that if no one cares to speak to this bylaw on its first, second, and third reading, that it be considered to have been read a first time and passed, read a second time and passed, and read a third time and passed. A mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Manders and Councillor Hodgins, all in favor? And that's carried. And resolved that the council meeting be adjourned at 4 minutes after 7. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Regan and Deputy Mayor Manders, all in favor? Carried.